Hey everybody, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you had a great week, great weekend. Everything's good in your life. Glad to hear it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on the Chaz Palminteri Sit Down. We got a lot of great comments. Chaz was great, and I really appreciate it. He loved doing it, and you're all great. What could I say? Listen, for those of you that are subscribed, you're knocking us out, man. We're already over 550,000 subscribers on YouTube. Keep it coming. We got a lot of good content coming up. We appreciate it. We soon have somebody coming to sit down with me. They were our grand prize winner. They're going to be sitting down with me at Slices, and then we're coming over here, show them how we do this whole YouTube thing, and they were the grand prize winner. Gave out a lot of other prizes. Watch for the next giveaway. Hopefully, we don't take anything for granted. We'll reach 1 million at some point. We're going to have a really grand giveaway, that's for sure. MichaelFranzese.com. Tune in. We just put our new website up. It's so informative. I'm thrilled with it. It took us a long time to put it together. A lot of great information. Join my crew. If you're not in the crew, you're making a mistake. Inner Circle. We're having Zoom calls every week. A lot of content we're putting in there. A lot of one-on-one with me and the people in the Inner Circle on the Zoom. It's terrific. A lot of people are getting a lot out of it, so I encourage you, join today, MichaelFranzese.com. Today I got a really special guest, and I got to tell you, a little different than what we've been doing before, but I really love this guy. His name is Ice-T. Now, I got to tell you something. Ice is real. He's from a little different world than some of us here. And, I want the reality. Sometimes, he uses some language that are a little bit colorful, I would say, but we're going to leave it in. We're not choir boys over here. We're going to leave it in because he says it from the heart. Nothing's disrespectful about the way he talks. And he and I have a little bit of a relationship. You're going to hear it as we go in. Remember, Ice-T the rapper, Ice-T the actor, Law and Order. You know that Ice is one of the longest actors, I think, ever. The longest running actors ever in a TV show. He's got a lot to say. All you young people, listen in. This is something that's going to be very informative to you. Parents, go get your kids. Let them listen. Just tune out some of the language. It's okay. It's said in the right way. Ice-T coming up right now. Hey, Ice. Got me?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How are you?
All right, my man. How are you?
Oh,
you good?
Man, I'm talking to the capo. I'm talking to a boss. Yeah, I'm good. How are you, man? Proud to finally meet you and stuff. I've been following you for a while.
Well, I feel the same way. I'm talking to a boss, too. I've been following you for a long time, pal.
Hey, look, I already know I'm not on your level, but I'm watching everything, all the moves, and when George told me that now, he's part of your family and all that, and he's been working with me my whole career, so love is love, man.
Well, I got to tell you, Ice, we got so many parallels among us, and I'll start with, first of all, let me tell you this. This isn't an interview, it's a sit-down. So you got anything you want to talk to me about, you got a question you want to ask me, anything goes here. So, we're just going to have a conversation. That's how it goes. But I got to tell you some of the parallels. You were filming Breaking back in 1984, I think that was, somewhere around there, and I was filming a movie called Knights of the City. It's where I met my wife, and that was with Leon Isaac Kennedy and Smokey Robinson. So I remember going to see Breaking. That's the first time I saw you. Mm-hmm. Then you filmed Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, and my wife's sister, Sabrina Coster, was in there, and she met you at that time. You remember Sabrina,
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. Okay. And then, of course, I saw you in New Jack City, which I thought you were terrific in. That was the first major movie I saw you in. And now, Jorge, or George, your manager for how many years? Forever, is my wife's brother-in-law. And so now I know George for a number of years. So we got a lot of connections there,
Yeah, it's all cool. I remember when George told me, he said, yeah, Michael Franzese. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm like, you know who the dude is, right? And so he's like, I'm slightly familiar. I'm saying, well, you better get better acquainted with this cat. This guy is the business. I wish I could be there, but everybody's doing Zoom now, so this has to work.
Yeah, no, I get it. Where are you? You're in Arizona, right?
Yeah, I'm in Arizona.
Cool. I've been down there a couple of times in the last few months, speaking to somebody, a friend of mine down there. Love Arizona, Scottsdale area.
Well, my wife's family's here. Coco's family's here. Her mother, her father, all her cousins and stuff. So Chanel, my daughter, she loves coming out here. It's not L.A. It's not Vegas. It's kind of like off the grid, but I like it. When I come to L.A., I get overwhelmed with my friends, and that's a burnout sometimes. So.
Well, Ice, I got to tell you, and I really mean this, I mean, people know you for different things, obviously for the music industry, rap and all of that. I don't think a lot of my viewers are going to know too much about the rap, other than that you were a great rapper, and you started this thing so many, many years ago. But, I don't think people realize what an amazing career you had and the accomplishments that you've had and the success that you've had. I don't think people understand that. When I was doing a little bit of research about you, more than what I knew already, I mean, we'd have to spend about 10 hours, to really talk about everything that you've accomplished. It's unbelievable, and really is amazing, really.
They say those who say don't know, and those who know don't say. So, my fans, they're, people say, well, they don't give you enough credit. I'm like, what do you want them to carry me around when I walk down the street? I get it from the people I want it from, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm just living my life like I came from a background with no opportunities, and we look for another way to get money and to hustle and do things. But once legitimate opportunities opened up to me, I went for it. As so you say, can you rap? Yep. Can you act? Yep. I'm trying to do anything other than go to prison. You feel me? And any cat that's been in the streets knows, that there's a limit on that. There's a time expiration date on that eventually. And I didn't want to die out there, and I didn't want to go to prison. So I was like, you want me to rap? I'm rapping my ass off. I'm doing whatever it takes, So now, Tide commercial, yep, I'm with it. No problem. I have no problems with it. I'm just trying to feed my family and, stay out of trouble, man.
Well, let me ask you this, because, there's something that separates you and Ice-T from a lot of other guys, and I really mean that. You came from a rough background. I know both your parents passed away when you were young. And, you moved out here from Jersey, I believe, to California, went to Crenshaw High School, rough place at that point in time. And somehow you rose above a lot of stuff that was going on in the street. And what do you think separated you? I mean, you just explained it a little bit. What separated you from guys that went the other way and didn't quite get to the level that you got? Or what do you think it was, Ice?
Well, the first thing, being an orphan and getting dropped into South Central Los Angeles, I had a chance to be involved with the gangs, but I chose not to join a gang. I realized really early, I was like, you gotta have to be smarter than everybody else because you're by yourself. You're by yourself. So I realized if I join any gang, I immediately put the entire rest of the city as my enemy. I said, I don't wanna, so I would affiliate. I knew all the different gang members, all the the shot callers and stuff, but I never joined. So you couldn't say, and I never was involved in gang violence. I never shot anybody or nothing like that. So I didn't have that on me. That was one, because that can get you caught up. Because once you join a gang, now you got to do what the gang says do, and you can find yourself doing something you normally wouldn't do, which could put you in prison for life. If you're in a gang, they say, hey, you got to go whack this cat, you got to hit this guy. Now you're doing that, and I didn't like that, so I didn't do that. The second thing was I never got high, Mike. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I never did cocaine, I never did anything like that, because I felt that drugs would compromise my position. Like being on my own and being alone, there was no one's job to look out for me. So if I just never thought being high was attractive. I just looked at people, I'm like, you're sloppy, anything can happen to you, and I just always wanted to be on point. If I was in a room and there was a bunch of guys, the guy that wasn't getting high was the guy I was worried about, because I knew he was there not getting high for a reason. And then honestly, all my friends fell. As my friends started to fall, they would tell me, Ice, don't come here. Don't do this. You can do other things. You're smarter. White people like you. You don't have. You've got a chance. And they kind of motivated me to stay and look for other options.
You know, something that I read about you that really touched me, and it was something that your mom said to you early on when you had first experienced, and this was back in Jersey, you first experienced racism, not really among yourself, but some of your black friends. And you went home and told your mom, and she said to you, some people are just stupid. And, you know, she didn't go into a whole thing about, you know, race and all of that. She laid it out so perfect at that moment. Some people are just stupid, and that's really what it is. And you said that you learned from that, you know, how to deal with negativity. Just that one line that your mom gave you.
I learned to judge a devil by his deeds. I watch people's behavior. Like, if somebody's my friend and they're nice to me, but they're assholes to other people, or, you know, I just watch their whole get down. Like, you know, I always tell girls, if you got a girlfriend and she's talking shit about everybody else, when you're not around, she's talking shit about you. It's like that's her behavior. So I'm into, like, I watch people's the way they are. And I never been a bad cat. I'm not that person. I'm not an offensive person. I'm a defensive person. You know, I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to, you know, I don't want that bad karma on me. But at the same time, racism is stupid. It's like I don't even know you, and I'm looking at you and I'm making a judgment of you when I know the black guy that's putting his arm around me is the guy that's going to stab me in the back, and the white guy will be the one that drags me out of the fire, you know? So I don't do that. I don't, what you look like, your race, that has nothing to do with it. I'm going to judge you by your character, and that will happen over a period of time. I don't just meet people and make snaps. That's prejudice. So I don't meet. So after a while, we'll build a relationship and an understanding. And that's how I judge people. And I also use reviews. Like, people will tell you about somebody else. Even George said, Mike's cool. He's cool. You want to talk to him. You're going to get reviewed. So no matter who you think you are, there's a review of you out there floating around. People are talking about you. So why do you need prejudice? Or why do you need racism? It's just stupidity. It's unfortunate, but it's just how the world is set up. The world is set up into this team thing, you know, where my neighborhood's better than your neighborhood, my school is better than your school, the skinny girls are better than the fat girls, all this type. So we're kind of forced to divide into these little units. And race is just another one that you can throw in there. I'm a different race, I'm a different religion. And it lets people separate and hate. It's stupid.
Well, I got to tell you, so from an early age, Ice, you had something within you. You obviously had confidence in yourself because you knew. Let me ask you, you know, there's something that separates people that make it and people that don't. And there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is knowing that you're going to accomplish something. You feel it inside. You know you're going to do it. Nothing is going to stop you. No obstacle is going to get in your way. And then arrogance is a whole different thing when you just maybe think you're better than everybody else. And I think in your case, you just had a confidence, and even through all the challenges you had as a young kid, you said, you know what, nothing is going to stand in my way. I'm going to do whatever it takes, and you said that earlier, to succeed.
You know, it's confidence, Mike. It's kind of like, not insecurity, but I'm humbled to the fact that what I'm going to set out to do may not work. So that's why I got so many jobs. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm a rapper, and I'm making money rapping, and my brain says, I need another job, though. I need a backup for this. And then I start acting. I'm like, okay, well, that's good, but I need a backup for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to come up with that's not insecurity, but it's not overconfident that, oh, okay, this is going to last forever. So there is a little like, I don't know, you know, I'm not that sure. What I am confident about is I know how to finish a project. I'm confident in that. Like, if I set out to do something, it's going to get done. If I put all my energy into it, and the only reason I'm confident is because I've accomplished things. I said, okay, I know how to go from point A to point B. Other people, a lot of people don't, but it's a little bit of insecurity that makes me keep hustling. No, I just don't have enough commas in my bank account to be secure yet.
I think you always like to have a backup plan. I think that's the best way to describe it. In case one thing goes down, I got something else going on. You and I are similar in that regard. I always want a backup. You know, if this thing doesn't work, I got something else because, hey, no matter what, you got to feed yourself and your family. I mean, there's no excuses, right?
Right, and you never know, even though this might be the greatest plan, it could go left.
Exactly.
Anything could go wrong. So yeah, back up to the backup to the backup, you know? So, you know, I run into a lot of people who only have one plan. And when that fails, they suffer.
Well, you know, you said something interesting. You saw what was going on in the street, you know, and I know, you know, at Crenshaw High, they had the Crips and the Bloods, and, you know, you saw it. You had probably had friends in that regard, but you never really got involved. And because you I got to say this, and I'm going to make a comparison between the both of us. You were smart enough to know that at some point would be a dead end. That's not where you're going in society. On the other hand, you know, I got involved in a life, and I mainly got involved, honestly, to help my dad out. My dad got a 50-year prison sentence. He was going away forever. I was a college kid at that point, but thought that being involved in his life would be able to help him out. But I also took an oath to do some pretty bad things if I had to do it. And, you know, maybe I wasn't as smart as you to say, you know what, no matter what, I'm not going to get involved in that. I don't know, you know, and you maybe just think about that. You know, I mean, I know I did it in my mind for the right reason, but it was doing the wrong thing for what I thought was the right reason.
Well, you know, there's a quote in Fargo, there's a movie, Fargo, and people always ask me, say, hey, well, you did this or you did that, there was gunplay involved, and I always quote, it seemed like the right thing to do at the time, you know? So at that point, at my education and that point in the circumstances around me, it seemed like the right thing to do at that time. Now, retrospect, it was the wildest shit in the world. Retrospect, what are you thinking about? But at that moment where you were in your life, it made sense. You know, and like when you see kids out here putting themselves in the cross, that's all. Those are all the brain cells they have at this moment. They haven't seen a better life. They've never even traveled. They never left the neighborhood. So to them, that decision makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Let me ask you this: how you had such a great career in music? How did you make the transition from music to acting? Was that something that you were determined to do? Did it just happen? Was it a natural evolution? How did that happen?
Well, I was in breaking before I actually was making records. Mm-hmm. So the club, the radio where they shot breaking was where I would come, like, we were hustling in the streets and stuff, and then I would come there and I would rap because I put out a little rap record. And then one day they came in there, they said, we want to make a movie. We want to use you, and you. That's how I got into that movie. And I made a song for the movie called Reckless. The song was pretty much a hit. The album went platinum, which made me believe maybe I could make some records. My boys were always saying, man, you need to be... At first they were like, why are you wasting time with this rap shit? Because no one had ever bought a car rapping. And we were robbing jewelry stores and we were taking down some scores. I had a Porsche. I had jewelry. I looked like a rap star. I had never sold a record, but I looked like it. I had to look.
Well, let me ask you this: when you started, was rap really? It didn't really have a start yet. I mean, you were one of the pioneers.
The first West Coast rapper to go national, but no one, Mike, no one had bought a car. It was something to do for fun, and you're hanging around guys that are making, $100,000 a week hustling, and they're telling you you're wasting your time. I'm like, I got a Saturday night. Why not go to this club and have some fun? Fuck what you guys are talking about. Well, that movie led me to making my rap albums. Then, when I got to like my third album, they offered me to be in New Jack City. This was my first acting role. And they came at me and said, we want you to be in this movie. And I read the part, and it was a cop. Mm-hmm. And I had an album coming out called Original Gangster. I was torn. I was like, how the fuck I'm play the police? You know what I'm saying? Like, and my boys was like, nigga, this is a chance. You have a chance. This is movies. Stop playing. We know you ain't the cops. Play it. And I did the movie New Jack City, and it made a lot of money. And in show business, if what you're in makes money,
Right.
we'll do it again.
Exactly.
So I made that, and then I did another movie with Denzel Washington, and that was the start of my acting career. But it just came from, like I said earlier, taking advantage of an opportunity I never expected. I never expected it. I just applied myself. I applied myself out of desperation. Like I got a chance to act. So many people want to act. Let me try. Let me apply myself to this, and that's how it happened. And the reason they picked us is because they didn't have that many black actors at the time. Wesley Snipes had only done Major League, maybe another small movie. So they said, well, Ice-T has sold millions of records. He's kind of conscious, he says political shit. Chris Rock, he's the new young street comedian. Maybe their celebrity will translate to this film and bring their fan base. So that's how I got the job, being a successful rapper first.
Well, you were terrific in that movie, and I really mean that. And I enjoyed the movie when I saw it so many years ago. But let me ask you this: if you had your preference, would it be music or acting?
Of course, music. Music is all me. There's nothing like music, because acting, you have a delayed response. When you're making music, the audience is right there. It's kind of like doing theater. You get that immediate response. So there's nothing like that's why they always compare like cool people with rock stars. Like he's a rock star. Because that's the pinnacle of life. To be able to stand on stage with, 50,000 people and say, I just want to have a drink right quick and pick up a glass. And they cheer while like you drink water. Like shit like that. There's nothing like that. No acting. There's nothing. This is just that moment of having the whole crowd just hanging on every word. It can't be. There's nothing like that. But I do love acting too. I've been doing it now 20-something years, and I've really learned to enjoy doing it.
You've had such a long run on Law and Order. I don't know if there's any. I mean, it's hard to compare that run that you've had with almost anybody else. I mean, you've been there for how many years now on Law and Order?
Well, SVU started season 23, so we're the longest running television show in history.
Yeah.
I'm the longest running male actor on television, period, and one continuous role. Mariska has me, she's an actress, she has me by 1 year. Who would have thought, Mike? And I came on that show to do 4 episodes.
That was it, huh?
Yeah, now we're on 23 seasons. So, but I'm black. I don't jump off a boat while it's still floating, even though I can swim. People are like, well, what? I'm like, I'm not leaving. I mean, and after doing music for so long, music is unstable. You put out an album, you spend a couple years working on it, and it may not sell.
Yeah.
With television, they say you got 23 episodes. That's 23 checks. You could take it to the bank. You can count on that for that season. So it's much more secure. And I get to stay in one place. I got my family. I got, a house I can live in. It's touring the world doing music is more of a young man's sport.
Did you ever anticipate that you'd have that longer run with that show? I mean, in your wildest dream, did you ever think that?
My wildest dreams, man, I didn't even think I'd be alive, man. Like, in my wildest dreams, I'm 63 years old. In my wildest dreams, 63, you were in a walker on an oxygen mask and stuff like that. I'm still doing rap concerts, rock concerts, running around here. I got a young wife like you. You gotta get a young wife.
That's
and that
right.
way it'll keep you on your toes. You know what I'm saying? But, nah, man, I'm way past my wildest dreams, Mike. My early dreams were so construed, so I didn't. When you want to be the biggest hustler, the biggest gangster, and the biggest player, you really don't understand where that leads you. And I've totally changed. People say I did a 360. I did a 180. 360 is back to the same.
Back to the same, right?
180.
Right. Well, me too.
Yeah, and one of my player buddies said, "Ice, squares run the world." You know, we spend so much time trying to be cool that we're not really handling the business. He said the squares run the world. At the end of the day, you're gonna be answering to a square. And that sunk in. So I've been trying to get a little more square every day.
Well, he was absolutely right. I got to tell you, I got you by a couple of years. Last week I turned 70, Ice. And,
oh, wow. You look great.
Yeah, I feel good, but the same as you, I never thought that I would reach 70 for some reason. When we were running the streets and, I'm in and out of prison and all these indictments and everything else that you're fighting and all that crap, I said, there ain't no way I'm reaching that. My dad died at 103.
Well, so you got good genes.
Yeah, we got good genes, but he did 40 years in prison, so my dad always said, hey, prison preserves you. You either go one way or the other. And for him, it preserved him. But yeah, when you look back and all the stuff that we've been through, and I think, our lives kind of parallel. You did a lot of stuff on the street. Obviously, I did. Lucky to come out of it, blessed to come out of a lot of the stuff that we did. But, to be around at our age is pretty good. Pretty good. And yeah.
Man, it's such a blessing. And, it's just like you're in extra innings. And, it's just, and after going through COVID this year, people are passing away. You just realize how precious life is. You realize how precious life is. And, they say if you live long enough, life will teach you how to live it.
Yeah.
So, at this point, you don't stress over as much stuff. You're more relaxed. You're more laid back. You're much more focused. Just like you said, we're having a sit down, Ice. We're just going to talk. It's what it is, man. But yeah, as long as you understand that you're blessed, if you understand that, you're all right. We can't take this for granted, Mike. This is 70. See, now you the bar. I got to be fly like you. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I see people a little older than me looking, I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's what 70 looks like. Okay. I'm trying to blow out 100 candles like Pops.
Yeah, well, listen, they say 70 is the new 50, 60 is the new 40. So, but I'll tell you, at 70, I don't feel any different than I did 30 years ago. So
ain't that crazy? Your brain still stays young. Your brain is like, when I do music and I go out and I sing Colors, I'm 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Because to sing that song, I have to go back to that mentality to sing it. Now, the audience, they go back to the age they were when they heard it. So music is kind of like the fountain of youth. It takes you and transports you through time and stuff. But, yeah, man, when you say the new this, I'm like, 60 is not the new nothing. 60 is 60. And I'm taking it at what it is. And 70 is 70. But we're just redefining those ages.
Mm-hmm.
That you're here to redefine it. When people see me, I see guys 40 years old, and they look at me and they go, man, you still in shape? You still got, I'm like, you look bad, dude. 40 years old, you look bad. You're not even going to make it. You better hit the gym. You better do something quick, But, yeah, man. Why not 100 like Pops? That's what's up.
Well, part of the secret, you mentioned it, you got a young wife. You've been married, what, close to 20 now? Close to 20 years?
Yeah.
20 years. Me, I'm married 36 years. Young wife, keeps us young. I got a bunch of kids. You have one, right? Chantel, your daughter?
Well, I have 3 kids. I have a daughter who's 45.
Oh, okay.
I've got a son who's 29, and then I have a new baby now that's 5.
Wow, okay.
And Muhammad Ali says when a man has a child in the second half of his life, it hits a reset button on it.
Yeah.
It makes you start over. So when Chanel was born, I remember the first thing I said when she was born, the first thing that came into my mind was, you can't die. You can't die. That was it. And I've been healthy. I've been taking care of myself because, I have a reset going. But, young wife. Plus my wife's a fucking swimsuit model, so I can't be that guy where people are like, why the fuck is she with him? You know what I'm saying? I gotta be, sharp, thin in the waist, handsome in the face, so everybody says, okay, I get it. I get Coco and Ice-T. Ice-T's fly. You know what I'm saying? Because if I was some fat, busted, old, fucked up looking dude, it would be a problem. I don't want her to get that heat. Like, why are you with him?
Exactly.
So, she's sharp, and Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm not complaining at all, man. Life is good for me right now.
Well, that's motivation when you have a young wife that keeps you on track like that. You know, I got 7 kids. I got 6 grandkids right now too. So you want to stay young and you want to stay healthy for them too. I mean, that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a health fanatic. I just kind of like take it slow and everything. Mediation, not too much, of any one thing. Like I said, I don't drink, but hey man, I'm trying to get to you.
Let me ask you. You never drank, never smoked, never did any drugs.
Nah, nah. I've done drugs before. I've had experience with ecstasy. They told me that was a sex drug, so they got me with that one. Now I won't take it because there's so much fentanyl going around. You could take a pill and die.
Right.
And I've had a lot of friends dealing with drugs and stuff like that who have died. One of the guys in the group Power Trip just died. So now, I beg my son. I'm like, smoke weed. Smoke weed. I've never heard anybody dying off of weed, but any pills or prescriptions or anything, you have no idea what it is now, and you could die. You could die. So I guess my experience happened and it's past, but I'd be too afraid to take any drug right now.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. My dad, he was always against drugs. And when I was a kid, he used to make up stories, horror stories about people that took drugs. When he didn't like us to do something, he would make up stories. He never wanted me to drive a motorcycle. He said, Mike, they're dangerous. And he would tell me stories about everybody that got killed on motorcycles. He would do the same with drugs. So he made me almost afraid of it. But, then I started to think when I got older, when I saw the people on drugs, because it was around me all the time, I said, man, I'm staying away from this stuff because I may like it too much. I don't know, and I don't want to get involved, And I tell you, one thing about me and in my former life, as you said it earlier, I always wanted to know what was going on around me. I didn't want to be the one guy that was out of his mind, didn't know what was going on around him, because I always had to be prepared for something, When you're on the street, you know that. So I would never do anything that put me out of my mind or I wasn't in control of my senses. And it worked for me. Because, I tell you this, in my former life, when you got drunk and you got in trouble, it was no excuse. You got drunk, you got in more trouble. You couldn't say, oh, I was drunk, I didn't know. You got more trouble at that point. You couldn't, it wasn't an excuse. So, that kept me straight too. I mean, I didn't want to get involved in anything like that.
Well, when you're on the streets and, you got enemies and people are saying, hey, we see you, it's going to pop off. You carrying guns. I mean, I carried a gun for 2 years of my life, 24/7, because people was like, yeah, it's on. You can't be high.
No.
Like, I'm not finna be high. I don't need no bodyguard. I got my own back. I'm not going to give you my back. I'm not, you have to be that type of person. If they're searching and you can't get in the club, because they're searching, I guess I just can't go in that club.
Yeah.
I can't go in there because I can't be naked at any moment, and being from that and living that life for any period of time, I know you did, it's a relief to not have to live it no more.
Yeah.
You like, I don't want to be, worried about that. Being high, like I said, I felt it compromised my position. I couldn't be high. And I never have. And going back to your earlier question, that might be one of the reasons I was able to pull out. We just lost DMX.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my good friends, a
Shame.
serious talent, a kid straight out of, Yonkers, busted his ass, had a voice, but he had a demon. And he went in and out of rehabs and prison and this, that, and the third. And eventually it caught up with him, and sad to lose somebody like that at 50 years old.
No, really, really sad. I didn't know him, but I knew of him, obviously, like everybody else. It was really sad. Let me throw some names out. Tupac Shakur.
Yeah, Pac was cool. Pac was a good friend of mine. I knew Pac ever since he was a part of Digital Underground before he started rapping. And he came out. I'm kind of angry at Pac.
Really?
Because I don't feel he had to die. I don't feel like he kind of like was from the Bay Area and he got caught up in LA gang shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't join a gang or get involved with gang shit when you're a millionaire and you're a musician. gangbangers have anonymity. They no one knows who they are. They could do something and disappear. If Ice-T does something, it's easy to find me. Just go to his next concert. You know what I'm saying? So he got caught up and started to like that side of LA. And I would kind of warn him and say, man, this is going to be these guys, you know, because you're dealing with cats that are never going to make a record.
Right.
And there could be some envy there amongst them, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he ended up, you know, dying too young. It's kind of like in the world you come from. I could hang around some guys, and you might say, Ice, don't hang around them guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you might think they're cool, but there's a lot of heat around them guys. You know?
Exactly.
So when he starts hanging around their different gangs, I'm like, don't do that, man. Like, they seem like you're friends, but these guys are, you know, But, you know, I love Pac, and I wish he was still here today. And a lot of people misinterpret that. When I say stuff like that, they go, oh, Ice, you act like you could tell him something. I'm like, I'm 13 years older than Tupac. Mm-hmm. He was a little homie to me, you know? But he's missed. He was a good dude. Just made some fatal mistakes in the street.
Yeah, it's a shame that a guy like that had such success and such talent would not realize, you know, I gotta stay away from people, you know?
It's intoxicating though. That these guys are intoxicating. These guys are street stars. So it's easy. They got all the entrapments to pull you in and make you, you know, you want to be in that life. You know, you rapping this gangster shit. They are actually living it. Mm-hmm. But along with that comes the violence. Along with that comes that extra.
Let me ask you, what about Eminem?
Eminem, love Eminem. I met Eminem early in his career. I actually heard his tape before he got signed to Dre. Dr. Dre is one of my best friends. He's just amazing. To me, Eminem is being a white kid stepping into hip hop that was predominantly urban, black and Latinos, Puerto Rican kids out of the Bronx. He just knew he had to be that much better. Mm-hmm. He had to be that much better. He had to be undeniably good. And that's made him raise his skill level up in hip hop. Because in hip hop, there's a lot of ways to rap, but some cats rap, you got to compare it to a solo on a guitar. Like they can rap like a kid where you say he's shredding. That's how Eminem can rap. Eminem is incredible. He's a good person, real humble in his real life, but knows how to say the shocking things in music. He knows how to trigger everybody with his words and music. But if you meet him in real life, he's just like a very humble white kid that's always shown me respect. I've always shown him. Speaking of breaking, Eminem said the first rap record he ever heard was Reckless from Breaking. So, yeah, I'm friends with M. He's a good guy.
Well, let me ask you, you know, and I don't know the rap world, you know, like I should, maybe, certainly not anywhere near you do, but if you had to say one outstanding rapper, this is the guy that, you know, is the epitome of rap, or in your view, biggest guy out there, who would it be?
Well, that's hard to say, Mike, because there's so many different people. Like, Melly Mel of the Furious Five was the first person I ever heard put a message into the record. Mm-hmm. Like, not talking about parties, not talking about this, but talking, you know, with you know, the message, don't push me, I'm close to the edge, you know. And that helped me change the way I rap. So Melly Mel was somebody who was influential. And then Chuck D from Public Enemy. Because, you know, they made us proud to be black. They made us know we had to fight the system. And Public Enemy was a movement. You know, you felt PE coming, you know?
Yeah.
Their image of the shadow of the hip hop kid with the cross on him meant we were all public enemies.
Right.
And those two. Then I'd say Rakim from Eric B. and Rakim, just because of the mannerism and the way he flowed and changed the way rappers rap to be more in tune with the music. Those would be I have to pick three: Melly Mel, Rakim, and Chuck D from Public.
Cool. All right. Well, I just learned something. But let me ask you this. Something I think in many ways we kind of grew up with a similar consciousness about certain things. I grew up hating law enforcement. I hated them. And the reason I hated them, because my dad was always a target. I loved my dad. He was my hero, my idol growing up.
Right.
And he was the John Gotti of his day. Back in the 60s, Ice, you would not believe how much heat my dad had for so many years. He was like the first guy that they really were all over. I had law enforcement around my house constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, surveillance teams. They would pull me over when I'd drive in a car. I grew up hating them. And obviously I had my experiences throughout my life. I did, my years in prison. I had, 18, 19 arrests. I did, seven indictments. I had 2 federal racketeering indictments. So my experience with law enforcement up to a certain point was all bad. Didn't lie. As a matter of fact, I thought they were aliens. They didn't even, they weren't even human beings. I made an about face. I kind of realized in my life, that they were the good guys and we were the bad guys. And it took a while to make that transition. When you grow up with that mindset, you are a product of your environment and what you see. And, now I have respect for law enforcement. I have friends in law enforcement, not by cooperate or anything like that. We're just friends, many of us friends. And I support law enforcement in many ways. You had your own experiences on the street, and I know you might have had an opinion at one time. How do you feel now? Has there been a change in an opinion or feeling?
I think going back, first off, like what happened with us and the cops, even before we started really going in, they started doing gang sweeps in L.A. And what that meant is they saw 4 kids together, they could arrest you and fingerprint you and mugshot you.
Just for being together. Just for being together.
LAPD was trying to get all the hood kids on the books. We want to get everybody's picture. So that's when we started running from the cops. That started that, because when they pull up, everybody just, pow, take off, because they was just going to jack you for nothing, And so that was the first. Then when we started breaking the law, when I started getting with my guys and we started doing jury licks and credit unions and things of that nature, we never hated the cops. We just looked at the cops as the opponent. We were like, we know we're about to break this law, but we can do it and they can't catch us. That was our agenda. Like, I know they got to do their job, but we got to do our job. Kind of like that scene in Heat where both people were sitting, I'm going to rob this bank and you're going to bust me. We were like, let's go. I thought by hating them would lower our respect for them. I said, these are the opponent. We got to beat them. We got to be smarter than them. And I was always like, the getaway is more important than the lick. We got to get away. Like, we put down the best score ever, but if we don't get away, it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? So I came out the military, and I knew a lot about how to plan things out and lock things in and get things. And I've never been caught. I've never been captured. I've never killed anybody. So, there's no statute of limitation to that. But then one of my partners was telling me, he says, you got to be careful still when you talk about things, because for all you know that you might have done something where you didn't kill somebody, but 10 years later, somebody died from a heart attack in that situation, and now they want to claim wrongful death. So I stopped even telling any stories in detail anymore. So, but now, this is how I look at the cops. I look at cops as they're human beings, okay? Some of them are in there for the right reasons. Some of them are in there because they got bullied and they on that bullshit. Mm-hmm. If you're breaking the law, it's their job to bust you. Mm-hmm. That's just it. It's not personal. It's like, if cocaine was legal, they wouldn't bust anybody for cocaine. Now marijuana is becoming illegal. They stopped doing that. They're just doing their job. I tell people, say you're famous. I'm famous, Chris Rock said this, from about 15 feet away in good light, right? Other than that, I'm just another nigga. They will shoot my black ass like no one, So the theory, you're Ice-T, you're different. Nah, not until they figure out who the fuck I am. Now, when I deal with the cops, you got 2 cops. One cop that knows I'm not breaking the law no more. They got the memo, and they're going to say, okay, cool. The other one is going to go out of his way to prove I'm not special. That's just going to go hard just to maybe he's jealous, but he's just gonna. I've had people bust my balls for nothing, for nothing. But see now, Mike, because of my past, I'm like, you can't bust my balls because there's no body in the trunk. You feel me? It's like I'm not worried. I'm not breaking the law. So whatever you're getting ready to do, it's petty. It's petty. I've been up against heavy shit, and this, so I kind of laugh at them. I'm like, really, you're gonna arrest me? I got arrested last time. They arrested me for going through the George Washington Bridge without an easy pass. Do you believe that shit?
You're kidding me.
Yeah, on the way to go play the police, and they arrest me. You know, like, I'm like, yeah, you're kidding me. You're kidding. And the funny story about that is I'm cursing the cop out all the way to the police station. I'm like, you motherfucker, you ain't got shit else to do. And then when he put me in the cell, I realized I didn't have my phone and I didn't know my number. And I'm like, all right, I know I've been calling you an asshole, but can I use my phone? So I had to suck up for a minute and get my phone so I could get the fuck out of jail. But they have a tough job. I understand that. All I think people, especially black people, want them to do, just do your job. Don't overstep your power and take us in and arrest us, tase us, but you don't have to hold court in the street. You don't have to kill me, you know? And if you're too scared and you got nervous, and there's never been anybody, as far as the Black Lives Matter thing, if you bust a bunch of drug dealers and pull them out of their house in the neighborhood, there's nobody marching. If you bust the guys that had to shoot out, there's nobody marching. But when you shoot someone that was unarmed, that's a problem. That's a problem. And it should be. So, you know, I'm cool with the cops. Look, I live in Arizona. My neighbor's the police.
Yeah. Well, you know, we arrive at the same conclusion. We used to tell them, listen, we understand. We're on one side, you're on the other. You got to do your job, and we're going to do what we do. Just don't frame us. Don't harass us. Don't go out of your way. And if you get us. You got enough laws on the books to get us the right way. And if you don't get us, that's on you. You know, then we outsmarted you. And that was our attitude.
A real gangster cuffs up, and then we play Law and Order. You dig what I'm saying? It's like, whatever. You don't fight them. You like, okay, you know, put it up. Let's go. We go to the next level of this game. You know, it's the punk that's on the corner. He knows it's illegal. He's smoking weed or whatever. He gets busted and he's mad. Like, yeah. No, you got to know. Like, when you cross into that realm, you have to know, hey, we're about to do this. And we can get shot. We can get killed. This is what comes with it. But I understand why you thought they was evil, because they harassed you your whole life. They was like aliens floating around your crib. But you guys had a situation going. Your father was in the business.
No doubt.
He was bringing that heat.
No doubt.
Got to understand that too.
Well, you know, I told my dad once, you know, we had a rough, you know, my whole family was a mess as a result of my dad's issues and going to jail in and out of jail. So I said to him once, I said, you know, Dad, you don't realize our whole family was destroyed because we're involved in this life. And he looked at me and he said, it's not true. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I was framed. If I wasn't framed, I wouldn't be in jail and none of this would have happened. But I said to him, my dad, I know, but you weren't framed because you were a doctor, a lawyer, or a priest. You were framed because you're on the street committing crimes. This is who we were. He didn't like that very much, but you know, he had a tough time kind of admitting to that. But the truth of the matter is, you know, Ice, and I'm going to ask you this.
Well, wait a minute, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Your dad was a hardcore official because he got out and went back in like at 90, right? Am I right?
No, let me correct you. My dad got out and went back in 5 times. He was violated on his parole 5 times. I think that's a record.
So how old was he the last time they put him back in jail?
Last time he went in, he was 93.
See, he doesn't learn.
No, he didn't learn. No.
He refused to rehabilitate. He got out and got right back with it.
And I used to tell him, Dad, I think you're breaking a record. 5 times in and out, you know, and for the same thing, Ice, for associating with other criminals. The same thing. And he used to say to me, I don't know anybody that's not a criminal that doesn't have a record. I said, well, then stay away from everybody. You know, 5 times. It was unbelievable. He got out, he was 100. Well, my dad was finally released. He was the oldest inmate in the federal system, 100 years old, 2017. Wow.
God bless him. God bless him. See, and so all these other tough guys talking that's tough, they don't know nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? My guys who went to prison came home totally different.
Yeah.
You know, I always ask them, I say, you came back. One of my friends just did 24. We're writing a book together. Another one did 26. And they're like, Ice, man, I'm done, man. I'm done. Because I always ask them, I say, you done? Meaning, are you done testing the system? Are you done? Because they're like, nah, man, any other, if I get caught jaywalking, they're going to put me in for life. So I'm like, so we got to come up with another plan, man.
Exactly.
And one thing I did with my guys, when I first got into rap, and I stopped breaking the law, there was a point. And I brought all my guys around. I said, look, I want you to consider me bugged. Don't say anything around me. I don't want to know about anything. I'm stopped. I'm done. I'm going to try to do this music. But I want to be able to pass a polygraph. I don't want to know anything. So don't, just out of just fun talk, don't bring up nothing. I don't want to know. I want to, and they understood that. I'm like, I'm out.
It's funny you say that, Ice. When I was in prison, we used to sit around with a bunch of guys in the TV room, and we used to watch the NBA, right? Some of the players. And some of the guys on the street who knew them said, hey, that's my homie. When he comes home, when I get home, he owes me this, and I'm going to see him. And I said, wait a second. Is he your friend? Yeah, he's my friend. Well, why are you going to go and bother him when this guy's got a career and he's doing well for himself? We're going to go put the arm on him. That's not your friend. If that's your friend, you stay away from him. Let him have his success. When he's done, you want to meet up with him afterwards and talk to him, like a friend. That's a different story. So it's similar to what you said. Stay away from me. Don't bug me. I don't want to hear any stuff. And that's the right approach. If you're really a friend with somebody, you're not going to drag them back into a bad situation.
Right. I still love you. I'm not going to tell you what or what not to do. I can't judge like that. But I'm at a point where I'm about to not mess around no more, and I just don't tell me about it.
Exactly.
Just don't tell me about it if you guys are still engaged. And I'm doing this book right now called Split Decision with one of my partners named Spike, who was active with me. This book, you're going to want to read it because it explains a lot of the stuff we did prior to Ice becoming a rapper. But there was that moment when we had this meeting, and he decided to try to put down one more move where no one knew he did it, but he sent some guys, some little gangbangers, to do 2 jewelry store robberies, and during one, somebody got killed. And that wasn't our MO. This kid was just unexperienced, you know what I'm saying? We just always shoot him in the ass. Our whole thing was shoot him. I got that from watching a movie called Midnight Express.
Yeah.
It's like if you just shoot somebody in the butt or in the leg, it's an aggravated assault. It's not an attempted murder. Don't shoot them above the. So we shoot them in the ass, right? That way they'll stop running and chasing us. Do not kill nobody, because they never stop chasing you. We wanted to get the money. So this kid shot somebody in the head. And of course, they gave my buddy the mastermind on the conspiracy, and he got a life sentence. They wanted to give him the death sentence, but he took a plea to do 25 without going for parole. Then they gang enhanced it, so he had 35 to life. He ran the Scared Straight program, all these different things, and he got out in 26. So we're doing a book called Split Decision that shows 2 people on the same trajectory, just one split decision, him deciding to do one more move, put 26 in prison. And that's kind of like the arc of my entire career. And now he's back home, 180'd out. I'm not doing nothing. I got out. I was never supposed to see home. I'm done. Unlike your dad.
Yeah.
And then I tell him, I said, you can't be around no firearms. You can't be around. I think he just got off parole now. That's a big day. When people get off that parole, they say they lost their tail. I'm done, But I'm like, you still can't break the law. You got out on a life sentence. If you go back for anything, they're never letting you out.
It's a book I'll look forward to reading. Let me ask you this, guys, because I could talk to you all day long. And as a matter of fact, we're going to get together. Next time you come into town or we're somewhere, let's get the wives.
Let's get together. You're in Vegas?
No, I'm in L.A. I'm in Orange County, Newport Beach.
Okay, yeah, we'll hook up.
Yeah, we'll hook up for sure. But let me ask you this. For the last 25 years since I came out of prison, I've been speaking, all over the world. But, I do a lot of youth ministry. speak to a lot of these gangbangers. You know how it is, man. When you got credibility, you've been on the street, you get their attention and they listen. And I think we've been able to help a lot of young kids, because I don't want to see any of these kids, they don't get it. So many of them, they look at me and they say, Mike, I understand what you're saying, but you guys on the street, you had all the money, you had all the power, you had the cars, you had the women, and they'll mention Goodfellas and they'll mention all of the movies. And I have to say to them, but did you not see the end of the movie? Did you? Right. You only watched half the movie. You didn't watch who went to jail, who got killed, who lost their family. They don't see that. So for the last 25 years, I've been spending a lot of my time. I go to detention centers. I go into prisons all the time, try to give them the benefit of my experience. So, I really keep them out of that life, because what they don't understand, it's a dead-end street. You're going to end up in jail or dead. Or there's no way to beat this government. There's no way to beat law enforcement if you stay in it. You're a guy with a lot of experience. What would you say to these young kids or anybody looking to get into a life of crime?
I do the same thing, Mike. I speak at universities. I speak at juvenile facilities. I speak at prisons sometimes. When I'm in prison, I'm really asking the guys in there to tell me what to tell the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they're teaching me when I'm in there. If you really want the definition of Ice-T's life, I explain it like this. It's like, I'm a guy that was running down this road, this hustling road. We're going to rob, we're going to steal, we're going to get this money, we're going to be fly, we're going to have the bitches, we're going to have the... And I'm running down this road, right, full speed. And then I get to the end and there's a cliff. And I'm watching my friends go off the cliff. Life sentence, death, shot, kill. And Ice-T is the guy who turned around on that road. And I'm running back up the road toward traffic saying, don't go that way. Don't go that way. It looks cool, but don't go that way. And that's what I've been doing my whole career with my music, where kind of like what your father would do. I'll tell you a very intriguing gangster story, but at the end of every record, I'm dead, or the girl killed me, or something happens, because that's the truth. The truth is that life, it's a flash. It happens. But the time you spend in jail, the time, the people that you lose close to you, is it worth it? And I was watching a thing on you where you were breaking down how you guys had the gas stations paying and you was doing the tax thing. That's genius, but apply that same genius to something else. It's like that same intelligence it requires to create a scam like that, which was paying a lot. You might not make that much, but that genius, that brain can work inside of the law and make money. And as we said earlier, the squares are on spring break. They're out on the yachts, they're floating, they're not breaking any laws. Us gangsters is trying to look like them, but we got so much heat on us that you can never enjoy it. I have a nice little house right here in Arizona. The feds ain't coming to the door. That peace of mind, you cannot really pay for. You can't pay for it. It's something, there's no price on it. You agree, there's no price on it.
100%. Not having to look over your shoulder, is the greatest feeling in the world. I tell you this, every time I got busted, early on in my life, it was always early in the morning. Unlike being taken off the street, they would always come to my house. Because, let me tell you the difference, and you'll understand this. When you're involved in a mob, organized crime, what they do is they investigate the people and try to find the crime that they're committing. You know what I mean? It's not like the crime was committed and they go after the people. They're investigating the people, always looking for the crime. So when they finally do find the crime, but they think they do, what happens? 5:36 in the morning, they come to your house and they arrest you. Do you know that my wife and kids, if that doorbell, and this is 25, 30 years later, rings at 7 in the morning, everybody still freezes, except me, because I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but it's left that much of an impression on them. And when you know that you don't have to watch your back anymore, it's the greatest feeling in the world. You said something, I don't know if you know this, but maybe George will tell you. I got this pizza franchise, and it's called Slices. And we're opening up spots all over we're going to open up in Arizona, as a matter of fact. But we have one slogan, and it says, it's hip to be square, or it's cool to be square. But you said it. It's the square people that are owning the yachts and running the world. And we got to, at some point in time, realize that that's where it's really at.
One of my mentors is Iceberg Slim, the writer. And he said that, he called it street poison.
Yeah.
And when you're street poisoned, everything is upside down. Like what you said, the tougher guy, the more violent you are, the more cool you are. The more scandalous you are, the cooler you are. The more wrong you are, the more you're appreciated. It's upside down. It's backwards.
It is.
You know, it's backwards, and it's really, that game isn't really set up for a win. It's not set up because even if, here's the trip, even if you make a lot of money illegally, then you spend all that time trying to look legit. So it's kind of like you got to clean it. You got to look legit. You're going to have to at some point accept the legitimate world. I just got finished talking to one of my buddies. He's like 50 years old. He's never had a credit card. He's never had his real name on a driver's license. I'm like, you're going to have to get into this world at some point. You want to buy a house? Like, you can't own anything. So it's very, very complicated. And, you know, there's a love affair with the outlaw, you know, because no one likes rules. So a person who's willing to break the rules, there's a love affair that goes along with it. But the truth of the matter is there's no great stories. There's no really, really great stories of somebody who was dirty their whole life and had a wonderful, wonderful life. It's, you know, I do this thing, I end it like this. I do this thing with these kids in school, when I do the schools. I say, how many of y'all kids like in junior high or high school, I say, how many of y'all know somebody on the streets is hustling, selling drugs, getting money, this, that, and the third? They all put their hands up. I say, okay, now I want the number of people that have those people but have never been to jail or prison. Some of the hands go down. Then I say, okay, now we're going to push it. Somebody over 30 that's been doing that, that's never been to jail or prison. There's usually a few hands still up. I say, now, if they haven't got shot or killed, someone close to them has got shot, killed, or incarcerated. There's usually one hand left, one asshole little kid left. And I always say, okay, so you're going to be the big gangster because you're believing the bullshit right now. You're the one that's going to take that chance because I've just proven I can't even get past 30 with someone who hasn't taken a fall, got hit, have your mother or your sister or your best friend killed. The odds are really against you in a life of crime. And there's no real other solution to it. Then now these kids see all these white collar criminals. See, that's the thing. When they watch Wall Street and they see that, they can't even get their head around that. But those are the squares.
That's right.
Those are the arch criminals, right? Those guys are the squares camouflaged as legit people who are the super criminals. And they'll never go to prison.
And you know, just to end it on this, what you said was so true, And in my life, everybody that was high profile, all the real tough guys, the guys that were out there and always throwing their chest out, the Gottis and Joe Colombo and all guys that I knew and liked, none of them lasted. None of them. Dead or in prison. You know, there's 1986, Fortune magazine wrote a big article. It was a front page article. 50 biggest and most wealthiest mob guys right in the country. It was like half the magazine. They had a chart with the 50 of us on there according to rank and wealth and power. And I was number 18 on the list. I was the youngest guy on the list. And I always say, how did they make a list like that? It was stupid. They didn't ask for our tax returns. It was just some guy came up with this stuff and wrote an article. But out of the list of 50, right now, 48 of them are dead. One guy is still in prison, and I'm the only one on the street. So what does that tell you? And that's only in the last 30 years. That's not a long length of time. What I tell people in the last 35, 40 years especially, you cannot make it in crime anymore. The government is too sophisticated. Law enforcement's got too much power. They got too many laws, too many informants on the street. You go that route, you're going down. And if you can't realize it, there's something wrong. You got to get educated right away. So, you know, and I got to tell you this, Ice, you're an example of a guy that, you know, just did it the right way. I mean, you had you come up the rough way, but you had from early on, there was some kind of instinct in you that made you realize there was really one way to go. Even though you had your little time on the street, you know, but you overcame it and look at the success you have. And I tell you what, I really appreciate it. It's very admirable. I mean that.
I had a criminal defense attorney told me once, he said, I'll never forget, he said, have you ever noticed that we'll defend you and we'll take your money, but we'll never tell you to stop? He said, because that Rolex, I'm going to end up with it. That jewelry, I'm going to end up with it. And we're going to send our kids to spring break. We're not going to send them. He's like, we're living off of you. He said, Ice, man, the best hustle is a legit hustle.
Right.
You got to figure a way to get this legitimate without breaking the law. And I might be the only attorney that ever tells you that. But right now, I need this money and I'm going to help you beat this case. But most attorneys are not ever going to tell you to stop.
No.
You know, because they're eating off of you. And I'll never forget, he said, the best hustle is a legit hustle. So that's what I did. I said, you know, I need to keep my hustling mentality. I just got to stay between the lines. You know, just stay between the lines. And there's no feeling like when the cops pull up to show them your registration and be a citizen and be like, get off me, man. You know, I ain't done nothing. What's happening? It's so different because when you're dirty, you're trying to act like that, but you notice something there, you know? And you can promote this, but the youngsters that haven't been to prison, that haven't learned yet, they're gonna call you soft. They're gonna call you a sucker. But how can they tell you that? How can they, you know, you grew up in that world, you know what I'm saying? They can't tell me shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They can't tell me shit when I got 5 cats right now doing life, my boys. You know, you can't tell me shit. So we try to talk, and those who want to get the message will, and those who won't will learn the hard way.
Well, you know what? We're going to end it on that because you just gave one of the best lessons any of these youngsters can listen to. So hopefully they will. And I had a good time, man. You know, I was looking forward to this. Really.
We got to do it face to face next time, Mike. A pleasure.
Absolutely. I'll stay in touch with George. And, you know, next time you're around, let's go out to dinner. We'll keep George.
George
I like
said
old George.
that he went out to dinner with you, and one of your boys kept talking about his hair. He said this guy kept. I said, just laugh it off. Just laugh it off.
That's right. Yeah, he was at a party. I had a birthday party for me the other night, and he was there. Everybody was talking about his hair because he had it down, you know. But he's cool.
Good dude.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
All
right, man. Listen, you take care. My regards to Coco. I'd love to meet her someday, and you'll meet my lovely wife, and we'll do it. Great. All right, brother.
I'll talk to you later.
Now. You got it. Bye-bye.
All right, peace.
There you have it, Ice-T. You know, I love to have a guest on that's kind of been there, done that, done a lot in his life. And this guy really has accomplished a lot, you know, from music to acting to surviving on the street. You know, he's really accomplished a lot, and his life is really something that we should look up to, and I really mean that. Very, very admirable. You know, what he had to say, I think is very informative, educational, and really encouraging to all of you on the street. When you got confidence in yourself, no matter if you came out of a bad situation or not, you can rise above it. Regardless of what anybody says, we live in America. There is opportunity here. I know people have to come up the hard way, but listen to Ice's story. I mean, he didn't have it easy. He was an orphan as a young kid. You know, went into a school where there was gangbangers all around him. He had a lot of tough influence on him, but some way and somehow he was able to rise above it. And everyone could do that. If you got the will and you got the confidence and you know right from wrong, you can make it here. So I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to have more guests on like him. I don't like to just put on people just to entertain you. We always like to have something positive come out of it. And I think this is one of the best we ever did. So Ice-T, thank you. Thank all of you for tuning in. MichaelFranzese.com. If you're not in the crew, you're missing something. I'm telling you, my inner circle, love these guys. Love all of them, and it's growing every day. And please keep subscribing. You get all the inside information. You know things before everybody else. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. How do I always leave you? Be safe, be healthy, God bless, and yes, I'll see you next time.